Nero had known Lyria since middle school, and by the time they turned 16, everyone saw them as the quiet couple who never argued. Nero liked peace and Lyria hated conflict, so they always tried to understand each other first. To him, their 8 years of dating felt clean and loyal. They never broke up, never drifted apart, and even went to the same university, studying late nights together in old libraries. "We're solid, right?" Lyria would ask with a soft smile, and Nero would always nod confidently. At the time, he believed it with all his heart. After graduation, they worked at the same company but in different departments. Their schedules matched so well that they ate lunch together almost every day. "Meet me downstairs in 5, she often texted. "Always," he replied. When they married in June 2008, Nero thought life had finally settled into something stable. But only weeks later, his mother died in a sudden car accident, and the world he knew collapsed. Lyria stepped in, taking care of everything: bills, meals, appointments. "Don't worry, Nero. I've got you," she told him while holding his shaking hands. Nero fell into a deep depression. Some days he couldn't speak. Some days he couldn't stand. His father worried constantly, and Lyria carried the home on her back. Nero often said, "If not for them, I would have disappeared." Over time, he clawed his way out of grief. With new determination, he worked harder at his job, telling himself, "My parents would want me to rise." He promised that when he had kids, his father would finally experience the joy of being a grandfather. As Nero pushed forward, Lyria grew uneasy. One night, she whispered, "I can't keep up with you." He didn't understand at the time. He simply hugged her and said, "We moved together." He bought them a nice house after years of saving, and in 2012 they began trying for a child. Unknown to him, that same period would become the darkest betrayal of his life. When the twins were born, Nero believed everything had aligned: 2 healthy babies, a smiling wife, and a father who finally got to hold grandchildren. His father cried while hugging them. "You made me the happiest man alive," he said. If his father had lived long enough to see what came later, Nero knew it would have destroyed him. As years passed, small cracks appeared. During arguments, Lyria began saying things like, "You're twins, not our twins." She accused him of flirting with coworkers and demanded to know what type of woman he liked. "Why does it matter?" he asked. "Just answer," she snapped. At the time, the red flags flew right above his head. Now he knew they were signs of guilt. When quarantine forced them to work from home, everything felt heavy but manageable. One afternoon, Nero mentioned wanting to take an ancestry test. "Maybe I'll find distant cousins. I could even create a family tree game for the twins," he said excitedly. But Lyria froze. "That's stupid," she said sharply. "You already have family. Why go digging?" Her reaction made something cold settle in his stomach. He decided to do the test secretly. "It's just a surprise project," he told the twins while taking cheek swabs. He bought them treats afterward and whispered, "Don't tell Mommy." Waiting for the results felt like torture. Lyria noticed his anxiety and suddenly became affectionate. Date nights, nice meals, unexpected kisses. "Relax, Nye. Everything is fine," she murmured. But something inside him was screaming. When the results finally arrived, his heart nearly stopped. He wasn't even a distant match to the twins. The closest match, besides Lyria, was a man he had never heard of. Nero felt his vision blur as he whispered, No, this can't be real." He grabbed his keys, waited for Lyria to leave for her morning jog, and packed a small bag. Before walking out, he told the twins, "Daddy has a work trip." Then he left the house that once felt like his whole life. Nero drove aimlessly for almost an hour before he found the courage to call his coworker, Jaren. His voice trembled as he said, I need somewhere to stay." Jaren didn't even hesitate. "Come over. Don't explain now, just come." When Nero arrived, Jaren opened the door and froze at the sight of his swollen red eyes. "Brother, sit," he said, guiding him to the couch. And for almost 2 days, Nero cried until there were no more tears left. Every time his phone buzzed, it was a message from Lyria. Long paragraphs, missed calls, voicemails. Finally, he texted her, "I know about the twins." After that, he muted her number and threw the phone aside like it burned him. Eventually, grief turned to rage. Nero kept pacing Jaren's living room. clenching his fists. I have to find him, he said. The man who did this. Jaren tried to calm him. Nero, think. Don't do anything stupid. But Nero wasn't listening. He had already memorized the stranger's face from the ancestry site. He'd seen the man's social media too. There was a park visible from his apartment window in several photos, and Nero recognized the exact trees and path. I just need to talk to him, Nero repeated, though his voice betrayed how shaken he was. The next morning, Nero went to the park and waited. Every runner made his heart jump until finally, he saw the man jogging toward a water fountain. The resemblance was unsettling, same eyes, same chin, just a slightly longer face. Nero approached him. Are you Laron? He asked. The man slowed, surprised. Yes? Do I know you? Nero pulled out his phone and showed a picture of Lyria. Laron blinked. Oh, her. Yeah, we met at a work conference years ago. Nero's voice cracked. Did you sleep with her? Without hesitation, Laron nodded. We did. Once. The simplicity of the answer nearly knocked Nero off his feet. They sat on a bench. Nero explained everything, from the ancestry test to the twins. Laron went pale. They're mine, he whispered. When Nero nodded, Laron dropped to his knees. Please let me meet them. Let me know them. I didn't know she was married, I swear. For the first time in hours, Nero saw genuine shock, not excuses. Stand up, Nero said softly. I'm not here to fight. Still, the urge to hit him flashed through his mind again and again. But he swallowed it down. If you want to be in their lives, it has to be slow. And safe. For them. Laron agreed instantly. Whatever you say. I'll follow your lead. Nero studied him, trying to decide if he could trust a man he'd met barely 15 minutes earlier. But Laron's voice was steady. I won't push anything. I just want a chance. Nero rubbed his forehead. We'll need a mediator. Someone professional. I won't risk their mental health. Laron nodded. Of course. Just tell me the rules. They exchanged numbers, and Nero walked away feeling emptier than when he arrived. The truth was out, yet nothing felt settled. When Nero returned to Jaren's home, he collapsed onto the couch. It's him, he said numbly. He didn't know. He wants to meet them, Jaren whispered. Damn, Nero. Nero stared at the ceiling. I feel like my whole life is a joke. For the first time, Jaren didn't try to give advice. He just sat beside him in silence, knowing nothing he said could stitch the wound back together. The twins kept calling him Daddy in his memory, their small hands grabbing his shirt, their laughter echoing. The idea that none of those moments were truly his made him feel hollow and sick. Days passed before Nero gathered the strength to contact a lawyer. I need guidance, he said over the phone. Something serious happened in my marriage. The attorney walked him through the steps of filing for divorce, and warned him he would need several official documents from the house. Nero's stomach twisted. I have to go back there, he asked. At least briefly, the attorney said. Nero dreaded the idea. Not because of the house, but because he feared seeing Lyria again. He feared her tears, her excuses, her lies, and the possibility that he might break down all over again. With an officer escort arranged, Nero returned 5 days later. The driveway was empty, no sign of Lyria's car. He felt relieved, until he opened the door and saw the twins standing in the hallway, their faces streaked with tears. Daddy, they cried, running to him with desperation. Nero froze, heart pounding. What happened? Why are you crying? The twins spoke over each other. Mommy was mad. She kept shouting. She threw a glass. We thought you left forever. Nero felt his soul break in half. He knelt, holding both of them. I'm here. I didn't leave you. I promise. But as they spoke, Nero noticed the sharp smell of alcohol lingering in the house. His heart sank. Where is your mother? He whispered. She left, one twin said. She was crying a lot. Nero's chest tightened with fear and fury. He had only minutes before he needed to leave with the documents, but every instinct in him screamed to grab the twins and run. Instead, he forced himself to breathe. He told them, I have to go for work, but I'll call you. I love you both. They clung to him until the officer gently reminded him it was time to go. Nero walked out of the house shaking, The image of their frightened faces burned into his mind. Once Nero returned to Jaren's apartment, he immediately called Lyria. Her voice was slurred, thick and unfocused. "Nye. I'm so sorry," she whimpered. "I messed up. I'm nothing without you." Nero gripped the phone tightly. "You've been drinking?" he asked sharply. She sobbed harder. I can't think. I can't breathe. I'm sorry." He shut his eyes, feeling a wave of disgust and pity crash together. "You're not stable," he said. "The twins need to stay with me for now." She panicked. "No. Don't take them. They need me." "Not like this," he replied firmly. "Get help. Then we'll talk." After a long struggle, she finally agreed to let the twins stay with him temporarily. The next morning, Nero returned to the house with Jaren. To his surprise, Lyria had managed to bring the twins outside, wearing forced smiles as if the previous day hadn't happened. "They missed you so much," she said sweetly, pushing the twins toward him. Nero noticed her eyes, still puffy, still shaky. "When are you coming home, Nye?" she asked quietly. "We can fix this. You, me, the kids, we can fix everything." Nero kept his voice steady. "I'm not coming back." Her smile flickered, but she pretended not to hear. She kissed each twin on the forehead and whispered, "Tell Daddy to come home soon." It was a manipulation he recognized instantly. Back at Jaren's place, Nero spent the evening reading online comments from strangers responding to his earlier post. Many warned him about something he had completely overlooked: Laron's behavior. People pointed out that Laron's shock and eagerness seemed suspiciously intense. "Maybe he's hiding something," one user wrote. Another said, "Check the registry. You never know." The more Nero read, the more uneasy he felt. So he searched the National Offender Registry. Laron wasn't on it. "Thank God," Nero muttered, leaning back with relief. But he still dug deeper, scrolling through years of the man's social media posts. He eventually found comments from 2 years earlier. People asking Laron, "What happened with your engagement? Hope you're doing okay." But there were no photos of a partner. No clues. Just vague mentions. Nero frowned. Why did it end? He wondered aloud. Suspicion mixed with curiosity. So he called Laron directly. "If you want to be in their lives," Nero said, "I need transparency. I don't know what kind of relationships you've had, what kind of person you are around kids." Laron didn't argue. "Whatever you need," he said calmly. "Ask me anything. I want to earn your trust." After thinking deeply, Nero suggested a polygraph test. "I know they're not perfect," he said, "but I need something concrete. Something that shows you're being honest." Laron agreed immediately. "If that's what makes you comfortable, I'll do it." His tone was steady, without resentment. For the first time, Nero felt a small piece of anxiety loosen. "Thank you," he whispered. They scheduled the test for later that week. Meanwhile, Nero received results from his own medical tests. His STD test was clean, but the relief hurt almost as much as the fear had. He looked at the twins playing quietly on the floor. Every time they looked up and called him Daddy, something twisted inside him. Hugging them felt like hugging borrowed children. He tried his best, tickling them, making dinner, playing games, but inside he felt like an intruder in his own life. He told his therapist, "Every time they touch me, I feel guilty, like I'm lying to them." The therapist reassured him that this was common in men struggling with paternity trauma. Still, Nero kept recording every interaction with Lyria. He wasn't taking risks. He saved every voicemail, every message, every call. "She might twist the story later," he told Jaren. One night, after the twins fell asleep, he sat alone at the kitchen table with the envelope he'd been avoiding, the official paternity test. He opened it slowly. The words confirmed what he already knew. He was not their father. Nero covered his face and let out a silent cry. Why would she do this to me?" he whispered into the empty room. Nothing answered. Online, people continued offering support. Some shared their own heartbreaks, stories of betrayal, stories of children they raised who weren't biologically theirs. One comment struck him deeply. "It takes more than blood to be a father." Another said, "Handle your wife like you'd handle a venomous snake." Nero read each one, feeling both comforted and terrified. He knew he needed to make a decision soon, one that could change the twins' entire future. Then came the second update in his story. He finally managed to move out of Jaren's place and rent a small apartment. It wasn't perfect, but it had a room for the twins, and that mattered more than anything. The polygraph test came back clean. Laron was exactly who he claimed to be. No secret family. No hidden crimes. Just a lonely man who had made one terrible mistake years ago. Nero breathed easier for the first time in weeks. Despite the relief from the polygraph, Nero faced a heavier problem. The twins were acting strangely. They clung to him constantly, following him from room to room. When he tried to work, they climbed onto his lap. When he cooked, they held his shirt from behind. "Daddy, you won't run away again, right?" one whispered. Nero froze each time. The question stabbed him like a blade. "I'm not running anywhere," he said softly, though guilt throbbed beneath his voice. He didn't know they had overheard their mother screaming that he wasn't their father. He didn't know those words had cut them too. He tried to talk to them. "Tell me what's wrong," he begged gently. But the twins would shake their heads, run away, or change the subject. They acted fragile, like glass that could shatter with one wrong touch. So Nero contacted a child therapist. "I think they're scared," he said. "But I don't know why." The therapist scheduled an online session, then another, but the twins wouldn't open up. They only said things like, "We want to stay with you," or "Please don't make us go back." Nero hated himself for not understanding soon enough. The breakthrough came one night when Nero was asleep on the couch. He woke to a small weight pressing against him. Chiral, the quieter twin. She wrapped her arms around his chest and sobbed uncontrollably. "Daddy, don't leave us, don't leave," she cried over and over. Nero sat up, heart racing. "Chiral, talk to me. What happened?" But her words came out in broken pieces, scattered, confusing. It took nearly an hour of gentle questioning before Nero pieced together the truth on his own. During his absence, their mother had spiraled into heavy drinking. She yelled at walls, screamed into pillows, and broke dishes. Chiral had gone downstairs one night because she heard her mother shouting. What she heard were the words meant for Nero. "He should have loved you like his own. And he knows you're not his." The child didn't understand the context, only that "not his" meant something terrifying. So when Nero returned, they thought he had chosen to love them after all. And when he seemed distant, because he was struggling internally, they panicked and clung even tighter. Nero felt like the air had been sucked from his lungs. "She shouldn't have said that in front of you," he whispered to Chiral. She cried harder, gripping his shirt as if he would fade out of existence. "Are we adopted? Did we do something wrong? Are you going to run?" she asked. Nero pulled her close, tears filling his eyes. "None of this is your fault. Nothing you did made this happen." He wanted to say, "I'm your father," but the words lodged in his throat like stones. His silence made everything worse. The next day, the therapist visited them in person. The twins talked a little more. They described loud nights, broken glass, and mommy crying too much. They still didn't mention the paternity truth, but their behavior made it clear they were carrying a secret they didn't fully understand. After the session, the therapist pulled Nero aside. "They're scared you'll disappear," she said gently. "Your emotional distance is making them feel unsafe." Nero shut his eyes, ashamed. "I'm trying," he whispered. "It just hurts every time I look at them." Another month passed. Nero prepared the divorce papers and sent them for service. He heard from Lyria's sister that Lyria had checked into rehab. Good. At least she was getting help. But the damage was already deep. The divorce papers arrived while she was still recovering. And the next day she called him. She begged, pleaded, cried, screamed. "Please, Nero. Don't break our family. We can fix this." Nero's voice didn't stay calm. "There was no family to break," he snapped. "You broke it years ago." When she tried to defend herself, he exploded, calling her every name he had buried for months. When he hung up, he realized his hands were shaking. He was glad the twins hadn't been home to hear him lose control like that. After he blocked her number, she sent threatening messages through email, claiming she'd take every cent he owned. He saved every message, filing them for legal purposes. His attorney told him she hadn't responded to the divorce papers yet. If she doesn't respond by the deadline, the attorney said, we can move forward without her cooperation. Nero nodded. He felt tired in a way that seeped into his bones. Through all of this, the twins slowly began to heal. Their therapist worked gently with them, helping them process the fear and confusion. They smiled more, laughed more, and played more. Nero tried to meet them halfway. He read stories at night, played games on the carpet, and held their hands when they asked. But whenever they hugged him tightly, guilt still twisted inside him. They deserve truth, he told his therapist. But they deserve safety too. His therapist replied, one step at a time. You can't pour boiling truth onto children who barely understand the world yet. Meanwhile, Nero delayed all decisions about custody. Every option tore him apart. If he signed off the birth certificate, he would lose all legal rights to the twins. He would no longer be allowed to make choices for them, protect them, or even guarantee access. But if he kept his name on it, he risked being financially tied to Lyria for years, possibly paying child support and alimony to a woman who had committed paternity fraud. Both choices feel like punishment, he told his therapist. Both feel like losing. His therapist nodded slowly. You're grieving two things at once, the betrayal, and the life you thought you were building. At night, when the twins were asleep, Nero sat alone at his small desk and stared at two documents. The divorce papers and the petition to remove himself as father. His hands hovered over both. If I choose the wrong path, he whispered to himself, I'll hurt someone innocent. He thought about having biological children someday. Children who would carry his family line, the line he cherished because of his parents. But then he thought about the twins, about their laughter, their small hands, their fear, and the thought made him sick with guilt. I didn't ask for this, he murmured. I didn't deserve this. Online advice kept pouring in. Some people encouraged him to cut all ties. Others begged him to stay in the twins' lives because a father is more than blood. The conflicting voices overwhelmed him. Everyone thinks they know the right answer, he told Jaren. But none of them have lived this. Jaren sighed. You have to do what won't destroy you in the long run, he said. You can't save everyone. But Nero wasn't sure. Every decision felt like a landmine. Just when Nero thought things couldn't get more complicated, he received news that the twins might have overheard even more of their mother's drunken outbursts. One evening, the therapist pulled Nero aside. They asked me if they were mistakes, she said quietly. Nero's legs almost gave out. They're just children, he whispered, defeated. Why did she drag them into this? The therapist squeezed his arm. Because she wasn't thinking. Addiction destroys judgment. Nero covered his face. They don't deserve any of this, he said. Not them. Not ever. Another week passed before Laron contacted him again. I don't want to push, Laron said over the phone. But I want to check on them. How are they doing? Nero hesitated. Part of him still didn't fully trust the man. But he also remembered the way Laron had gone pale when he learned the truth. They're recovering, Nero answered. It will take time. Laron sighed shakily. Tell them I'm sorry. Even if they don't know who I am yet. Something softened in Nero. When the time is right, he said. You'll meet them. Eventually, Nero managed to move out of Jaren's place into a simple rented apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it felt safe. The twins were excited about having their own small room. Can we put the dinosaur stickers on the wall? They asked. Yes, Nero said. Anything you want. Watching them jump around, choosing corners for their toys, loosened something tight in his chest. They looked happy, truly happy, and he felt a bittersweet warmth knowing he had given them a sense of home again, even if his heart was still cracked. The polygraph results confirmed more than just Laron's honesty. They revealed why he wanted to be a father so badly. His past engagement had ended after a painful miscarriage. I thought maybe I wasn't meant to have children, Laron admitted during a follow-up conversation. Nero listened quietly, his emotions conflicted. I understand, he said gently. But we have to move slowly. They're fragile right now. Laron nodded. I won't rush anything. For the first time, Nero saw him not as the man who ruined everything, but as someone who was grieving too. Meanwhile, Lyria's rehab ended sooner than her caretakers recommended. She was still unstable, and this worried Nero. He didn't want the twins near her until therapists agreed she was safe. Her sister updated him occasionally. She cries all the time, she said. She keeps saying she wants her family back. Nero sighed. There is no family left, he replied. Not the way she imagines. A quiet sadness crept into his voice as he spoke. Despite everything, Nero began healing in small ways. He started sketching again, drawing calming landscapes and small scenes from memory. He even bought a console for himself and the twins. At night, the three of them played simple games, laughing and teasing each other. The moments eased the sharpness of the pain inside him. You're our daddy, they told him one night, cuddling close as they watched a game loading screen. Nero swallowed the lump in his throat. I'm here, he whispered. I'm right here. And though the future was uncertain, for the first time in months, he believed he could survive whatever came next. Please subscribe, like and comment where you're watching from.